All confirmed passengers should now be boarding at gate number D40. Final boarding opportunity, Delta flight number 1728, service to New York.
Damen und Herren, wir bitten Sie kurz um Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Die Behörden suchen folgende Person. Weinlich, ca. 1,65 groß. Die Gesuchte trägt eine hellgraue Jacke und einen großen Schal. Wenn Ihnen diese Person auffällt, verständigen Sie bitte umgehend das Flughafenpersonal.
Und bitte! Guten Morgen, meine Damen und Herren, ich begrüße Sie zu den M24 Breaking News. Die Polizei bittet um Ihre Mithilfe. Dringend gesucht wird diese Frau. Sie befindet sich seit gestern Vormittag auf der Flucht. Die Verdächtige ist ca. 1,65 Meter groß, hat dunkelblondes, lockiges Haar und trägt eine helle Jacke. Die Flüchtige gilt als unberechenbar und äußerst gefährlich. Bitte versuchen Sie nicht, die gesuchte Person festzuhalten oder gar anzusprechen. Für Hinweise zur Ergreifung der Verdächtigen wählen Sie bitte die unten eingeblendete Nummer. Wir melden uns wieder zu den Hauptnachrichten zur vollen Stunde und bis dahin noch einen schönen Tag.
Ich bin auf der Zeitung.
Die Behörden suchen folgende Person. Der Gesuchte trägt einen grünen Pulli und hat eine rosa Tasche bei sich. Männlich, ca. 1,80 groß. Der Gesuchte trägt eine beige Hose, einen lila Pulli und eine braune Jacke.
Dringend gesucht wird diese Frau. Sie befindet sich seit gestern Vormittag auf der Flucht. Die Flüchtige gilt als unberechenbar und äußerst gefährlich.
Guten Morgen. Sind Sie gestresst? Sie sehen so gestresst aus. Da hätten wir was für Sie.
Oh mein Gott.
Wollen Sie mal ausprobieren?
We all have anxieties. Some are good and some are bad. For example, we would experience anxiety if we came face to face with a lion. The reason anxiety is good in this situation is that anxiety prompts us to action, to run away. Its motive is to keep us safe from harm. Some anxiety is not good though. If we get anxious about leaving the house, that anxiety prevents us from doing the things that are good for us in the hope of sheltering us from some bad things. When we're confronted with an uncertain outcome, we have a choice. You may have heard fight or flight. Depending on our perception of our ability to control the situation, we may choose to deal with the problem and respond to minimize or eliminate the problem. Fight. Or, if we feel we cannot control the situation, we may feel like running away from it. Flight. If you're anything like me, you've probably had many situations where you've wanted to run away from what seems like a huge sea of problems. For me, quite often I can get snowed in with work. It might be work here at church, or housework, or study, or favours for friends. What happens is sometimes I feel that I won't be able to do all the work, and so I get down on myself that I've overpromised and underdelivered. What happens next is instead of doing what I can to get things done, I run away from my problems and therefore exacerbate the problem. However, you might be different to me. You might try to be in control as much as possible so that you have limited uncertain outcomes. You may do all that you can to, say, eat healthy so you never get sick. You may keep a small group of friends so as to avoid conflict. Or you may spend a lot of your time organising things so that they never get lost. These things are not bad in themselves, but they can be devastating if they're relied upon completely. What happens when the person who places all their faith in a healthy eating program, what happens to them when they get sick from something completely unrelated? Or what happens when the group of friends becomes so small that there's no one left? Or what happens when the organising system now has somehow lost a precious item to you? Whether we tend to be fighters or flighters, God gives us some encouragement in the book of Philippians. Philippians 4 verses 4 to 9 says, "Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned, or received, or heard from me, or seen in me, put it into practice, and the God of peace will be with you." What we often think when we're stressed is, wouldn't it be nice to have no stress? And often when we read this passage, we think about peace being no stress. But in fact, peace is something different. The peace that the Apostle Paul writes in his letter to the Philippian church is not an absence of something, but a presence of someone. It is not the absence of stress, but the very presence of God who created the universe. And Jesus is that person. He was there at the very beginning. He was there when humanity rejected God and we went our own way. When Adam and Eve selfishly sought to become equal with God, we became prone to stress about all sorts of things. Jesus is the solution the world is looking for. He selflessly left his place of honour in heaven to be born as a baby into a humble family, to live a perfect life, take on the punishment which was reserved for us and our rejection of God in order to bring us peace. When we rejected God, we didn't realise that we ourselves weren't able to do all that God can for us. Stress is one way we can see our need for God. You see, unlike ourselves, there is no task too great for Him. He actually is in control. In Romans 8 it says, "In all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose." Jesus came to earth to show that He is the solution to our stresses. Philippians 4 verses 4 to 9 invites us to call on Jesus, to ask Him to be near, to help us get our focus off our problems and on to Him who loves us and has loved us unconditionally, even when we showed Him how unloving we can be. My encouragement to you is when you feel stressed, to use it as a prompt to pray. He promises that He will be your peace. Now, Can you please listen to Lachlan, as he will split you up into some groups so you can discuss this passage and see the significance of it for your lives. Have a great night.